Hello everyone, welcome back to our Dentistry 101 series. This is Dr. Devyani Bahel, your mentor for today. I'm also the author of the Medi Study Goes, Model Surgery Notes and Mind Maps textbook, your one-stop solution just before your exams. So today, we are here to discuss about a true mandibular nerve block, which is also known as your Gow-Gates technique. Gow-Gates technique was developed by George Albert Gow-Gates in 1973, and it is one of the most difficult nerve blocks to achieve because it requires a high amount of operator precision. So it has a difficult learning curve, but it is also one of the most highly successful blocks if you're able to administer it very well to your patients. So it is indicated when you have multiple procedures on mandibular teeth, for buccal soft tissue anesthesia from the third molar to the midline, for lingual soft tissue anesthesia, and usually we indicate a Gow-Gates nerve block in a patient in whom multiple conventional IANBs or your inferior alveolar nerve blocks have been failed. So, if you see that the patient is not able to achieve adequate anesthesia with your conventional IANB, you can always resort to giving a Gow-Gates nerve block with the condition that you are highly expertise in that. The areas anesthetized by a Gow-Gates nerve block are all those which are covered by a mandibular nerve. So it will anesthetize your inferior alveolar nerve, your mental nerve, incisor nerve, the lingual nerve, mylohyoid nerve, auriculotemporal nerve, and it even anesthetizes your buccal nerve in 75% of the patient. This is because you're giving the block at the beginning of the mandibular trunk. So you achieve the nerve block for all of these nerves with a single Gow-Gates nerve block. It will anesthetize your lingual soft tissue and bone, the alveolar mucous membrane of the particular side, and the extraoral soft tissues as well. So on the whole, it helps you to achieve a complete anesthesia. And like I've explained, it is most commonly indicated when you have to do procedures on multiple mandibular teeth. So it is better to give a Gow-Gates block rather than pricking the patient again and again. We usually see an incidence of hematoma in less than 2% of patients. Trismus is extremely rare with this block, and temporary paralysis of your third, fourth and sixth cranial nerve, just like an IANB, can happen. It may also lead to middle ear problems since you are also encountering your auriculotemporal nerve over here. So we need to be a little cautious while giving the Gow-Gates block. It is contraindicated in patients who are physically or mentally challenged, or young children, because they might constantly bite their lip or tongue. But yes, of course, with proper patient instructions and post-operative instructions, you can tell the patient or their guardians to keep a look that the child does not bite on the lip repeatedly. It is mainly contraindicated in patients who cannot open their mouth wide, because one of the important aspects of giving a Gow-Gates nerve block is that you need the patient to open his mouth extremely wide. So you cannot give a Gow-Gates nerve block adequately in a patient with trismus. For trismus, we give another block. So to know that block, kindly watch our further videos which are widely available on YouTube. Click on the bell icon so you don't miss on any of our videos. Now moving on to know the advantages of this technique. So this basically requires only one injection. Since it is anesthetizing the whole of your mandibular trunk, it requires only one injection. And like I've mentioned, with extremely good expertise, you have a high success rate of 95%. So that is the highest. And it has a minimum positive aspiration rate, few post-injection complications since you're giving only one injection. And it is usually effective where bifid inferior alveolar nerve or a bifid mandibular canal are present. So since you're giving it at the beginning of the mandibular canal, it will really help in such patients who have bifid IAN or a bifid mandibular canal. Its disadvantages are, as mentioned, that lingual and lower lip anesthesia may be uncomfortable. It has a longer onset of time because it is beginning from the mandibular trunk. So it is beginning from the mandibular canal. So it takes time for the anesthesia to descend downwards, and as compared to the IANB where you're directly injecting at the point of the inferior alveolar nerve branching. So this technique requires a longer onset of anesthesia, and it is a great steep learning curve, but once you learn it, there's no going back from it. So today we are here to help you to understand the Gow-Gates nerve block technique properly so that you can master it faster with our videos. So as recommended, the patient has to be placed supine or semi-supine, and it is better that the patient extends their neck in such a way that they're able to open their mouth wide for the duration of at least the injection technique. So the patient has to extremely open his mouth wide. From there on, you have to indicate your landmarks. Now, the landmarks for your Gow-Gates technique is the area of your insertion is on the mucous membrane on the mesial aspect of the mandibular ramus, and you have to basically draw an imaginary line from the intertracheal notch to the corner of the mouth and just distal to the maxillary second molar. That is where the point of intersection would be, and your target area in a Gow-Gates nerve block is the lateral side of the condylar neck, just at the insertion, before your insertion of the lateral pterygoid muscles. So this is your area or target or area of insertion where you actually want to inject your Gow-Gates nerve block, which is the lateral side of the condylar neck, just below the insertion of the lateral pterygoid muscle. So do remember, this is a very important NEET essential as well. So let us revise your landmarks. It is your intertracheal notch, the corner of the mouth on the contralateral side. Your intraoral landmark is, as explained, the mesolingual cusp of the maxillary second molar and the soft tissues which are just distal to the maxillary second molar. So you remember these landmarks, and once you inject your needle properly, obviously you have to aspirate it in two planes, and once the aspiration is negative, you have to slowly deposit the solution. You advise the patient to wait for a little while, and then you ask about the objective and subjective signs and symptoms. So the subjective signs and symptoms would be tingling and numbness of the lower lip. Tongue will always be numb when you give a proper Gow-Gates nerve block. Your objective symptoms would be, if you use an EPT, there will be no response to maximum output, and it is similar as those in the IANB, and no pain should be felt during the dental therapy. So just remember that the most important subjective symptom is when the patient tells you that there is proper numbness of the tongue. So you know that you have administered your Gow-Gates nerve block successfully. So you have placed your patient supine, and once you have located the landmarks, you prepare the area with the sterile gauze and topical anesthesia if required. You direct the syringe from the corner of the mouth on the opposite side. So I will explain it to you here. As you can see, this is the area of our insertion for the Gow-Gates nerve block. So you direct the syringe from the opposite side, and then you take it to through the mucous membrane on the mesial aspect of the mandibular ramus, and you have to locate the condylar neck. So just lateral to the condyle, on the lateral aspect of the condylar neck, just below the insertion of your lateral pterygoid muscle. This is where you are going to insert your needle. You definitely rotate the needle in two planes, and then you aspirate it. When the aspiration is negative, you go ahead and inject your nerve block. So the average depth of tissue penetration to bone is around 25 mm in a Gow-Gates nerve block. make sure you contact the bone, because if there is no bone contact, then you're definitely injecting it into the space. And if you do not contact bone and the needle is extremely forward, you need to withdraw the needle and ask the patient to open the mouth wide. When the patient has opened the mouth wide, that is when your landmarks will be more easily accessible, and you will be injecting your syringe directly on the lateral aspect of the condylar neck, which is a target area. So you just withdraw and re-aspirate. When the solution is negative, you deposit 1.8 ml of solution over 60 to 90 seconds and make the patient wait for 5 minutes before you assess the anesthesia. And remember to ask for the subjective and objective signs and symptoms. So I hope that with today's lecture, it was clear on how to give a proper Gow-Gates nerve block. Now I'm here to assess your knowledge with some flashcards, which is a new feature in our app, wherein we help you revise the most important key concepts with just one flashcard. So try to answer this question, that a patient with symptomatic irreversible pulpitis in the mandibular first molar has failed to achieve pulpal anesthesia after 2 traditional IANB injections. You decide to use the Gow-Gates technique. Which landmark will you use to determine your height of your injection? If you have heard today's lecture properly, you will be able to answer that the height of the injection is determined by the mesiopalatal cusp of the maxillary second molar. So this determines the height of your Gow-Gates injection. Let us try to answer one MCQ which we have bought for you. So to maximize the success of the Gow-Gates nerve block, what instruction must you give the patient immediately after following the injection technique? Bite down firmly on this gauze for 5 minutes, massage over the area of your jaw joint, or keep your mouth wide open for 1 to 2 minutes. And the last is lean your head forward toward the side that was injected. Just try to tickle your brains and answer this question. So to have an effective Gow-Gates nerve block, I have been repeatedly telling that you need to ask your patient to keep your mouth wide open for 1 to 2 minutes. So even post-injection, you have to ask the patient to keep his mouth open for 1 to 2 minutes so that the injection diffuses faster and you know that you actually contacted the correct area and you have not given it elsewhere. So just ask the patient to keep his mouth wide open for 1 to 2 minutes. So that's about it for today's class on your Gow-Gates technique. I hope you understood the technique, and next time when you have a patient in whom conventional IANB is not working, you will definitely try out the Gow-Gates technique as explained in today's video. Our books can be bought from Amazon, Flipkart and our own website. We have multiple subjects to offer for you, and do remember to click on the bell icon and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out when we post a new video. Do recommend our app to your friends. See you soon in the next video.